Morning folks, welcome to Once Driven Forever Smitten. We left off the last episode where I just got Pete's Nova back to my house. Now we're going to go and run it down for an MOT, see if it passes, see what it fails on. Oh, good smell of V-power coming off it. It's nearly full, I suppose. I've spoken to Pete and it does need a thrust bearing, so I'm probably going to have to order one of them. I've chucked plenty of decent ones out as well. There was nothing wrong with them, so I don't know how you actually how you manage to let one get to such a state. But anyway, let's get this car in for its MOT. Quietened down a bit since yesterday. There's still a squeak off it if you push the clutch too far in though. We're going to need to sort out the chassis light because the alternator hits against it. It hasn't been widened sufficiently. Oh, and the gear linkage needs looked at because I really can't get it to go into second gear. That's alright. I said to Pete last night it was the most refined and comfortable Nova I've ever driven, which certainly wasn't what he was aiming for. So he said, I've been inspired. I want to build a 4-door saloon Nova, but do a Nova Diplomat. You know, electric windows front and back, heated seats, somehow get air conditioning into it, dynamite the hell out it. Long ratio gearbox in it, a 2 litre 8 valve. And he said he would donate his engine and box to the cause if I get him an XE and an F20 for this. Yeah, man. A notable difference this morning driving it. Now it's had the V-power in it and it's done like about 100 miles to go and get used to having the better quality of fuel. It's weird with those 175/65 tyres because it's quite squishy, a bit wobbly on the limit. I suppose it'll be exceptional on a rally stage. But we've got a curious mix here of comfort, refinement and rally specification. Can't imagine it's going to need much for the MOT though. If anything, I might get lucky. See that there, huh? Got a play in the front strut tops. I'll have to look into that. Also I've got the lambda sensor needs rerouted, it needs a wheel bearing on the back. Need to tighten up that exhaust bracket. The horn's not working. That's about it. Not too bad at all, really. No welding. It's a noisy bugger. Okay, so the noises from the thrust bearing and the gearbox are getting worse. Okay, so we've got a fail sheet, but nothing much to worry about. Rear wheel bearing, couple of strut top mounts. The exhaust needs adjusted. Yeah, not too bad at all, really. A few hours work, I'll have it fully up to speed. I'm just going to nip down to Dingbro at the moment and order those bits because it's Thursday and I'm not doing the mail order thing. I've just been into Dingbro and spent 130 quid. We've got CV boots, Isopon for the Omega, some brake cleaner because somebody used it all up, some so a couple of oil filters and things. I've had to order the strut tops of the Nova off eBay, Car Parts in Motion. I've ordered a lot of stuff from them in the last couple of years. They should be there in a couple of days, so I'm not sure now if I'll get these bits in time for the weekend. So the Nova may not be going back to Berwick on Monday, but I mean the bits will get there when they get there. I've ordered a new thrust bearing as well off eBay. I found one of them new old stock. It's listed for a 1.8 Cavalier SRI, but they're all the same. Basically they'll fit the same. A tenner, and that'll come in the post as well. So all the bits for the Nova are either here or they're now in the post, so I guess it's just a matter of waiting for them to arrive. I just had a guy in a van beeping the horn at me there. He was in the left lane at the traffic lights and he's like waving and smiling because it's a Nova. And the guy in front of him thought the van was beeping at him to go. So the guy in the car goes, but it's still a red light. It's just as well there wasn't any traffic coming there. Maybe me. Alrighty, it is now about 3 or 4 days later and all the bits have arrived for the Nova. We've got strut tops and bearings and a new clutch release bearing for a 1984 Cavalier SRI 1.8. It'll fit this just the same. I'm just going to do this stuff on the driveway. We're in the middle of one of these heat waves, which is absolutely crazy in England and just quite pleasant in Scotland, really. Yeah, I'll just jack it up here, and but I'll have to go via the unit because I don't have all my tools. Need my circlip pliers. I don't think I'll need my spring compressors, but I'll have a look anyway. I'll just grab them. Hey Bob. Hey da Bob. Right. I was going to jack this up and do all the stuff in the drive. 1.4 60 PS high torque engine sitting languishing there. Somebody's supposed to come and get it, but they didn't. Right. And that. We'll do a timing chain on that at some point. As expected, I don't need to use spring compressors on this, which is handy. So we can just sort the strut tops out right here. Yeah. You've got to love how easy these are to work on. There's no anti-roll bar link or anything. So all we need to do is slacken that 13mm pinch bolt to remove the bottom ball joint, and then we've got the drive shaft 30mm on the end, and then we could pop the drive shaft out of there. What else have I got? Oh yeah, this brake line's twisted out of shape. We need to go and adjust that so it's okay. You are tight. Right, let's establish that's going to go okay. I'll flip it the rest of the way with a gun. Lovely. Not so much a case for this one, but on some of the other rustier Scottish Vauxhalls, you're in danger of shearing this bolt off, which you don't really want to do. Because you can just pop it out, but you've got to go and replace it. Remove the old split pin. Alright, there you go. I don't have my rubber mallet or anything like that, and this shit got. You don't mark the end of these because you won't get that back on again. That's him out of there anyway. Now, just a 19mm socket, 19mm spanner. Guessing these aren't cambered. Sometimes with these, well, it's more with the coilover ones, I think you get them, you can adjust the camber on them, which can create a right mess if you're not careful.
Two bins with the cats. That's enough. Take the struts out.
There's our two new parts there. We've got our strut top mount there, and we've got our new bearing mount here, which was available easily enough, Febby Bilstein items off eBay, so that just all goes together like that, and that goes on top of the spring again, which there was a lot of play in these, although I couldn't feel it on the road, but this should make quite a big difference to it. Oh, it'd be nice. As it turns out, we will actually need the spring compressors to get that back on, but that's not the end of the world, that's alright. So there we have our beautiful Bilstein struts. Look at the piston in them, look at the size of that, fantastic, proper kit. And here's our new strut tops. Oh, I've got a shadow in me there. I have to do a little bit of spring clamping to get these on. They won't quite push down manually. Don't know what springs these are that he's got in this. Frustratingly rusty, as everyone's apt to go these days. There you go. Right, let's go and knock this together. Okay, next up we've got this metal piece there that fits onto there, and we've got our washer, and we've got our strut top. I have to do a bit more clamping again. Don't think I can get these. I really don't. Okay, our spring's in position at the bottom. We've got our rubber correctly positioned on the top of the spring. New shiny strut top bearing. I'll go on there. Piece of metal thing that sits against the bearing goes there. And we've got a washer that goes there. And we've got our strut top mount itself, which we'll shove on, and the 19mm screws on there. And that is our Nova strut tops together. They will only wind down as far as the collar on the shock absorber, so that's good. Okay, front strut reinstallation. Just post this up through here. We have washers, we have nuts. Right, I'm just going to leave that there for now. I'm going to bring my circlip pliers back up so I can get the CV joint off the end of that to replace the gator. And on the other side, literally all I need to do is the two 19mm bolts off it and the two 13s at the top, and that's that out. I'll take the two struts down to the garage and do the springs down there. And we needed to reroute the lambda sensor wire. And I've got a couple of cable ties to just make sure that that's nowhere near the steering rack. This engine is actually a Astra GTE 8 valve, an SE or sometimes an SER, but because it's such a bitsa, it's running on a NE Lambda loom, so I don't know if it would make a difference to if it had an SEH or whatever ECU on it, maybe. Well, that's me fired the struts on it now. I need to go and meet Carl to go and get the puller for the input shaft, because I want to do that to kind of make sure I've got the right thing for it before I tackle that. So yeah, just kind of catching it when I get an hour or so here and there. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to remove the clutch out the bottom of the gearbox using the removable plate, which is a great idea by Vauxhall. It's not quite as straightforward on these later gearboxes as it was in the very early ones, where he just unscrewed a little access, well, a bolt, and then you could get into the input shaft. You've got to take the whole end plate cover off these, but I'll show you what I'm doing now. Taking the bolt out the front engine mount means we can take this end plate cover off, which will get us access to the input shaft. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 11s and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 13s maybe, and oil will spill out the bottom, so I'd better go and get that canister. Right, last one out the bottom of the gearbox end plate. I'll have to go and chap it free, catch the oil that's going to come out it. Yuck. Okay. Got it there. Nope, there we go. It's gone. Some of that looks pretty minging. Obviously the gasket's not going to come off in one piece. Yeah, no, that's not too bad at all. That's not too bad. I thought there would have been more oil fell out that. But anyway, I see the gaskets felt a bit, but we're just going to put some of that expensive instant gasket stuff I've got around it. In there is the circlip for the input shaft, so we need to remove that, and then there's a threaded connection underneath that. There's a multi-splined cap. We take that out and there's a threaded connection, and we can withdraw the input shaft. There's the circlip. It'll be out just now in a second. One circlip. Do not lose that, because if you don't put it back in, the input shaft can pop back out again. Which is weird. Damn it, I've not got the multi-splined bit at the house of me to take that end cap out. I'll have to go out for the garage. So right now I'm going to go and do this drive shaft gaiter, which is burst. It's got a pinhole in it, so I've got another gaiter for it there, so I'm going to cut that off and get the CV joint off the end and replace that now. Well, it turns out the gear box had far too much gear oil in it. Aye, I'm going to take that out there and then put it in the stains. I'm just going to use this, which I don't think they used. If they did, oh well. Tough. Great. It's supposed to be level with the drive shaft. Had about a litre too much of gear oil in it, that thing. I get it back here now. I'm going to plonk it on top of there and it can catch the rest of it now. My driveway. Bollocks. Okay, so I've now retrieved from the workshop the correct multi-splined bit, an M8, which is going to go in the end of here and remove this end cap. I'll just give it a little tap in, make sure it's driven home well. Oh! Oh, thank goodness for that. The visions of that shearing off there. Okay. Now that's a little end cap, and this is the end of an old clutch cable. Now if we're lucky, I'm going to be able to screw this in to here and yank the input shaft simply using a set of mole grips. If I'm not, I'll have to use the puller, which I've got there. I'll give this a go anyway first. Tighten you off a bit. Screw it in a bit more. That's not going to pull out on its own, we have to get the puller onto it. Right. This item here is our input shaft puller. At the moment it's got the wrong end in it, it's got an M6. So I'm going to pull the hand. No, I have to get a spanner onto that to slacken it. Okay, we've got a 24 on one end and then a 10 on the other. Right, so if we take the end off this should then unscrew, which it won't. I have to get the mole grips onto that. Okay, so I've got the end separated off of this, which means I can take the bolt out it. And I can replace it with the one from an old cut down clutch cable. So you come, you can go through here. Ah, damn it, okay. I'm going to have to go and spin the piece of plastic off the end and just set another set of grip. Right, so I'm now winding that bit of plastic off the end, which I forgot to take off. Okay. Okay, so we've now got our M7, which will fit through there. I'm going through there, and then it will simply, the M7 bit goes back in there, and this will screw on and into position. Screw that all the way down so it's on there nice and tight. There we go, so we've now got our puller put together. I'll just go and give it a little tweak with the spanner. I've got to tweak with the spanner to ensure it's tight. Okay, so got it complete. Okay, so I'm going to go and screw this into the input shaft. Right, that's in a decent amount now, so the idea is to that sort of thing. I can get this one-handed. Ah, I knew it was going to do that. Checked my hand. Ah. Yes, there we go. That is the input shaft removed, which means that the clutch should now just drop out the bottom of the gearbox. So So I need to compress the clutch, and in the absence of having an assistant, I've just got a breaker bar pushing against the clutch. And then as we go round, what we will have to do is get these little fellas, which are clutch clips, and as the clutch is compressed, using the clutch, we hammer these on, which compresses it, holds it together, and then once we unbolt it, it will just fall out the bottom. What I'm going to do here is I'm just turning the engine round to get to the correct points to attach the clips to the clutch. So now that we are free from input shaft, this should come out the bottom, which it does. Boom, there we go, one clutch removed. But it wasn't the clutch we were particularly interested in, it was the input shaft. Not the input shaft, it wasn't the clutch we were interested in, it was the bearing. And you can see up there, we have one very knackered, falling apart thrust bearing. Yeah, there's a load of dust in there, we'll get that popped off. Tweet. What a noise it was making before. Is it going to come off that way, or is it going to want to be turned or something? Easily pop off, there we go. Hey. I'm losing the light on this now, but yeah, you can see that. That's, oh! You can see all the bearings inside it and everything. That's completely shot to bits, but we've got the replacement there, so all good. Okay, what we have here is our new thrust bearing. His old one was falling apart, so this just kind of shoves on and kind of twists into position on the selector fork. And there's a couple of little lugs on it there, just kind of hold it in place. It's not too technical the way that you file these in. Okay, well it's finally a sunny day again, so we have our clutch here, and we're going to slot it up through the bottom of the gearbox. Well, that's going to be lit up under here, and we shall hopefully get it installed without too... Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's number 6 went? There it is out. So what I can do here is post this up through. Simply get wow. I've waited for sunlight for this long and now it's blinding me and I cannot see. Right. Be right back. Let's hope this isn't gonna... What I have to do because the clutch is clamped together at the moment, it should give me enough space to squeeze it up through here. Clutch installation in progress. Right, so I've got that shoved to there and get a bolt in it, or two ideally. Get 2 bolts on it to begin with. Come on. Well, hey, that's it, driven home. What I did was I just put 1 bolt into the clutch cover so there was plenty of play on it, so I could like sort of wiggle it about, and then I just hammered on, tapped on the end of the input shaft puller and sent it through. So that's it now engaged on there. So all that remains is for us to put our 6 bolts in and then remove our clamps. Alright, so tightening up the 6 11mm bolts that hold the clutch in place now. Got 1 more to go. Where are you? There he is. Then we can remove our clutch clips. Uh-oh. Yeah, there. Oh, you're a tight one. There's the last one. There you are. Now, at the input shaft, need to note that it only goes in so far, because this plug goes in on the end, and then on top of the plug, of course, goes the circlip. We actually had a gearbox once a few years ago. Kenzo bought a Cavalier GLS and it popped out of gear and we couldn't get any gears with it. So when we stripped it down, we discovered that there was a circlip missing out the end of the gearbox, which sits in that bit there. So we had to go and rob it out of scrap one. That's a little circlip there which pops in there, and I think I've left my circlip pliers down the garage, but it might pop in with a screwdriver actually. Oh yes, it does. Make sure that's seated, which it is. Happy days. Okay, right, that's us finished with that bit there. I'm doing it. My technical scraper device, a Stanley blade attached to a set of mole grips to get the old gasket off this. Don't have a new gasket, so we'll just do what everybody does and use some of that lovely Wins gasket maker, which will seal it up just fine. Ideal. Well, we had to search for ages for this bolt which goes through there. It was lying underneath the trolley jack, stands to reason. So I'm just going to jack this into position to get the engine mount connected, and then we can get this back down in the ground. So if you come up the way, and then we'll see if we can insert this. Right, there you go. I bring it up. Oh, we're on. That on. Right, you can go in there and to get the ratchet. But I've not got a battery on it because it's been robbed for something else. The setup here, we've got a cut down bolt. It's all shadow, I can't see in with the sunlight in here, but I'm counter-holding it with a 17 with an E14 Torx on the front of the bolt, which has been cut down, so that's been used by the installer. Now what we're going to have to do is that lug there, I'm going to have to go and take the grinder to that and cut it off, because it's, you can see it's been tapping against the tie bar there, so we don't want that. Right, that's that installed. And my spanner back please, is it? Yeah, that's alright in there, yep. Good to go, and we'll get our earth strap back on, get the bolt on that. Yeah, the wheel back on it I think we're alright, just double check everyone's tight. Okay, moment of truth. Has the clutch swap been successful? Well, it started. Beautiful! We have reverse, we have first, second, third, fourth. I think we've got fifth there. Yes, success. Oh, we've got an exhaust clamp that I need to tighten, that's the only other thing. Way! We've got a horrendous rattle from underneath, so it's because this exhaust, I don't think this exhaust clamps, it's not, it's a probably choking it a little bit. It could be better. Is that held on to that now? Well, it has for the time being. Okay, let's try that, see if it's still rattling its head. Right, well that's all the work done on the Nova. All that remains now is take it back in for another MOT, and then we're going to do a full video on it. I'm going to do something comparing the 1600 and 2 litre 8 valve Novas, maybe do a bit of a sort of history buyer's guide thing, I don't know. But yeah, glad this is done. To the MOT station. Right, try that again now. Alright folks, that's us here at VRS. Let's get the Nova in for its second MOT. It shouldn't have any problems this time because we've done all the work that it needs. Take 2 MOT. Puffing away. We have success. The Nova has an MOT on it for the first time since 2011. This car spent a decade parked up off the road. It only racked up 38,600 miles by that point, and now it is MOT'd again until the 4th of October 2023. Happy days. Get Pete to tax it now, and we'll go and do a video on this and the air edge, go and compare them both. But as it is, this thing's driving beautifully. clutch in the Nova and the new strut tops on it. It's improved it so much. It's smooth to drive, it's super responsive. I mean, it just takes off like a rocket, even with the long gears. And of course it's so quiet sitting in motorway speeds as well. The handling's a little bit wayward on it. I don't know if that's down to like the 175 tyres, which are pretty skinny. But it doesn't feel as planted as maybe it should do. Having said that, it's got good ride quality. It doesn't crash or bang into the bumps or anything. It really is a car that you could use every day and also drive over long distances as well. The Vauxhall Corsa B GLS 1.4 equipped with a cat as standard.